for me and for a lot of people in Somnium, especially for development team there, because they just deployed some major graphic updates. As you can see here, actually when I was walking here, there was raining, which was like my first rain in a metaverse. Probably not many people can say they experience it. It was quite a surprise. There are a lot of really interesting stuff here. And so here where we are at a park that's actually quite famous because on this stage and on top of it you can see a Beeple, and here it was auctioned Beeple, one of the big ones. It's awesome place. You can see some sculptures here on left hand side. You can see the city center, the big tower there. Also, if you can hear a little bit background music that's here, these fireflies are just amazing. And it looked even better when it was raining because there was a little bit foggy. Yeah, this is just amazing. It wasn't looking this good even like yesterday. These are, yeah, you can see the fog here, just amazing. The lighthouse, the floating island. It's night now, but it will switch the daytime. By the end of the interview, I think we should see the sunset. Let's see how long it will take. On the right hand side, you can see also villa where the fireside chats are taken. Quite a big number of people groups are usually coming there. And here we are in my studio, which you can see even if it's nighttime, you can see quite an amazing view on these mountains here, floating island over there, park where we just were, the mountains over there, and the city center. There's actually one cool thing. If you're thinking about visiting this world, today is amazing day to visit it. On Somnium Space, you can download the client, and over there in the middle, where you can see the I will jump up a little bit like this. There's a lighthouse. It's a little bit difficult to see, but it's just like in front of us. And there are test cars. And tomorrow there will be a race, but today you can actually borrow one of these cars. They are normally quite expensive, like 1 to ETH, the cheapest. And those are, I think, like first cars that you can drive in Metaverse, and you can drive them here and explore. So that's pretty cool. But we are not here because of cars or because of the awesome graphic. We are here because we want to talk to our artists, as on each Thursday. The artist name is, and I will probably mess it up, Art of Papadou. And
Papadou, yeah.
yeah, awesome. I made it. So it's probably first
Yep.
time I didn't screw this one up. So hello, and tell us something about yourself.
Hi guys, how's it going? So I am a self-taught artist. I've been doing this for around 11 years, although my background is in architecture. But only recently did I decide to go full time as an artist, and it wasn't, excuse me, it wasn't as a result of the NFTs. It was just some other things that were happening. Um, and prior to becoming an artist, I worked in finance and as a software developer, coding in Java and Kotlin. And as an architecture student, I first learned Photoshop, and I was like a terrible architecture student when it came to working with my hands. I would mess models up. My drafting was terrible, or whatever. But like Photoshop saved me, and so that's where my fascination began. And over the next years, I would sort of develop a skill set. Um, I'm also bipolar, and I think that that's given me a unique perspective, and art has really allowed me to. It's really been therapeutic and allowed me to express myself. And we're not, although I would never choose to be this way, and I'm stable or whatever, but I would never choose to have gone through what I've gone through before. I think it's really informed some of my art. Um, I like to make scenes that are surreal, whether that's abstract art or whether it's representational. And I don't think I would have had that perspective had it not been for my illness. So that's a little bit about me. Sorry for rambling on.
No, it's awesome, and I can see that you are actually this is physical, right? Because like these days you don't know which is real and which is not. This
Mm.
picture that I currently have on, it's there's a little bit of lag, so it will come up there close. Yeah, yeah. I increased this one, and there's basically a room, so like a really bright one,
And
and yeah.
that one is, I believe that's called A Glimpse of Heaven.
hmm yeah, a
Um,
glimpse of heaven. Yeah, that's it.
and it's a part of a series that I made. I don't know if you saw my virtual galleries, but I have a premium account on Cooch Matrix. Um, I have an exhibition called Portals to the Heavens, and there are a bunch of these sort of ethereal, um, light, sort of portals or openings that I
Right,
have, and so that's just one of them.
right. Yeah, that's yeah. I think it.
And
Yeah, please go ahead.
most of these were created using manipulating photos of clouds that I took myself, as
Ah,
well as using other images too. But I love to work with photos of clouds and warp them and twist them and do all sorts of things.
yeah. Well, for sure, these have to create quite powerful like feeling when a person look at it. Maybe even like in some way alter their feelings or what they feel at this at the moment because they look like very epic. Uh,
Yeah, and that's what I go for. I have a friend and a friend who I discuss art with quite a bit, and he's very much about meaning. I'm very much about aesthetics, so I'm a little bit more shallow. It's that initial reaction. It's supposed to move. That's supposed to move you. I just go off of feeling. Does this move me? Does it not? I don't care about the story. My belief is that you can come up with a deeper meaning to any piece of art, especially if it's aesthetically pleasing. And so I focus on aesthetics first, meaning, message. Sometimes you make it up as you go, or and I'm not saying that because I believe there's no meaning in art, but I think a lot of times you don't understand. You don't understand. Excuse me. It takes a while to understand what your subconscious is doing. You might not know right away what the art is conveying or what's coming out of you.
mhm.
If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Well, it's actually a reason why I started doing these interviews, even these shorter ones, not just exhibitions, because I believe that really to understand the art of the artist, you need to understand the artist first.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. Do you think it's important for people to understand how you think about it, or about these pieces, how you created them, or should it be like self-explanatory?
This was a discussion in your Discord, wasn't it?
Yeah, also,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard. I think. Let me think about this for just a second. My preference is that if I'm absent, if I'm dead, if I'm not there, the person will be moved regardless, right?
Yeah.
But in order to actually understand the true meaning or the authorial intent, I think that you definitely need to understand the artist.
hmm Yeah. Well, yeah. That's what I think as well. And yeah, you mentioned that you are like quote unquote shallow in that understanding, but I don't know. I think that probably both of you are like you and your friend are going for the same end goal, but using different path to it.
I don't know. We have long arguments about this. It's one of the we even had like not physical fights, but like long like
Yeah.
it, yeah, maybe we are going for the same thing in some sense, but I think we have a very serious difference of opinion when it comes to that issue. Um,
Well, it's actually quite
he's
interesting.
very he's very meaning driven.
Yeah, so maybe what's the biggest or what's what's the biggest misunderstanding or just uh, where you clash the most? Like you have your
Oh,
strongest stance.
yeah, I can tell you that. He believes that there's beauty in everything, that any piece of art has some sort of inherent value, like some sort of, there's something valuable about it. I think that there are standards, even if we don't know exactly what those standards are. I think there is the beautiful and there is the ugly,
Yeah.
and I think it is up to us to try to figure out what those things are. But like I think that like I believe in like a truth when it comes to art. Like
Yeah.
there is bad execution and good execution. Now to complicate that, there are tastes, right? So
Hmm.
like when it comes to food, a good analogy is food. So when it comes to food, there's good food and there's bad food. Everybody acknowledges that, right? But then there's taste, which is another layer on top of that, right? So somebody might be a great Japanese cook, might make great sushi, but if I don't like sushi,
Yeah.
I'm not going to appreciate that. But doesn't mean that he's a bad cook. So when you are when you're asking people for advice, and, and to review your art, I think it's really important to make sure that they are on the same page as you, right? Like if you're a rapper, you don't want to
Yeah.
be asking somebody who's into grunge rock, is this a good song? And it's for me, it's the same way. I found that asking people who don't like my genre of art, what's going on, is this a good piece or a bad piece? I found that that was sort of messing with my intuition, and so I have like a group of like three people who are sort of aligned with my taste, and that's who I focus on. That's who I go to repeatedly. Everybody else, not that I don't care, but I know if I'm good with these three people, it's probably a good piece.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. And then also, I think it has to be some like level of maybe for like understanding, not just like you, but the art in general. Like,
Mhm.
for you just don't take advice from everyone. Like
Yeah,
you can get the feedback from everyone, but then you will probably like filter it. Yeah, that's probably like normal thing. Yeah, okay, that's quite interesting. That goes to the philosophical question, and that's I think quite relevant in these times. If if the truth is relative or absolute, which I think is
hmm
very nice to have a discussion about art in the same level.
I think it's both in some ways.
Okay, well, I thought that you have more specific answers. So, well, okay.
Well, in the sense that right, like I there's execution relative to the genre or relative to the style, right?
Hmm.
And then there's the style itself. Um, how should I explain this? How should I frame this?
Yeah, take your time. This is really
It's
interesting.
kind of hard. It's kind of a it's a hard point to make, but I think relative to what you're trying to achieve, there's an absolute standard. But when it comes to judging between different styles, it's a little bit more subjective. If that makes, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
styles
yeah.
bring in some subjectivity. I have to think about it better. I'm better at writing than I am speaking, but
Yeah,
uh,
I think I understand. You mentioned it. Like you believe that there are some objective truths and
mhm.
standards, but at the same time, there are layers on top of it that can.
They're subjective.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. I just opened your Let's go back to your art. So
Yeah.
we don't talk just philosophy. People are for sure interested about seeing more of your art. So
Mhm.
I muted this one, but I will put it from the start and put here the music, which well, seemed very cool. It's a little bit louder, so I will put it a little bit down. So could you tell us a little bit more about this one?
So this is a piece that the 2D version of it I created. It's called Exodus, The Exodus. The 2D version I created maybe 7 months ago, and it was one of those things where I was playing around with for a little while, and then I I sort of decided to excuse me decided to make it look like the waters were sort of separating from one another, and it really reminded me of the story in the Torah, in Exodus, of the Israelites leaving Egypt and the waters parting, and so I named it Exodus. And then recently, I came across some software. When I got into NFTs, I realized that just being a 2D artist wasn't going to be enough. I need to start like animating things, and so I started with Photo Mirage and Plotograph, and added motion to it. And then I with this one, I actually created two different what would you call it? Two different implementations. So the speed is a little bit different. The zooming in and zooming out. Brought them into a video editor, flipped them a couple of them, layered them on top of each other like you would in Photoshop, and then added a couple of effects to some of the earlier layers, which gives it that like sort of violet hue that you see in the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I don't know. The result is that it looks like the motion that was implied in the original photo was actually manifest in the video version. And there's some other steps there that I forgot, but
right. Yeah, that's really interesting. And you created it also from the clouds, right? The similar process, but much more complicated.
Mm-hmm. What'd you say?
You created it from the clouds, the pictures of clouds that you mentioned before, or is it different process?
Oh yeah. The initial photo. So this is what's kind of interesting about my art. So I I reuse a lot of things, and so when I'm working, I will, for example, I use destructive editing, but I will save copies in order to avoid losing anything. And that creates a bunch of different nodes, and I'll go back to a node and reuse it. But then when I finish a piece, I might also use that as a photo and stick it in another piece, warp it, mask it, do different things to it. This is probably a combination of previous pieces and clouds. What those pieces are, I don't quite remember. I could go into the PSD and look at it, but
it's not important to go into all details. Let's leave some mystery to your art.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's really interesting, and it creates this like a monumental effect, like in some really big movie.
Yeah, it's got the
Lord
marching
of the Rings or something like that.
Yeah, and for the track, I like that marching sort of sound effect. Different people will sort of interpret it differently. Some might think it's the Israelites marching out and it's their footsteps. Others might think that it's the Egyptians chasing them. But it just seemed appropriate to me. I don't know, it fit.
Yeah, well, it's very dramatic, and yeah, if you are just visual, it leaves well, it's just one sense. But if you add audio as well, then you are hitting the viewer of the art and listener of the art on two different fronts, and it's much more powerful. Yeah, let's look at the other pieces that you have here. I skipped this first one. Oh. So, what can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so that's a piece. The initial photos that I used in that one, I do remember too, but I created this form that to me, in the experimental phase where I'm trying different things out, looks like roots, like metal roots.
Huh.
And so when it came time to animate it, I'm going through a lot of my collection, and because I realized like you have NFTs now, you need to animate your stuff to make it more interesting, and not just that, I find it enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about a story to explain why these metal roots exist, and then I started to think about terraforming. And if you read the description, well, let me go back. A tree of metal roots is obviously not from Earth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
why is it here? So I came up with this sort of story or explanation um, of aliens coming to terraform the planet. And the music, if you listen to it, is kind of ominous and sort of eerie. And that's what that's meant to convey. Like if you watch a movie, it reminded me of the movie. Is it War of the Worlds? No, not War of the Worlds. No, it's War of the Worlds with Tom Hanks, right? Where they have those not Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
have those plants that come down and
Right.
feed off the earth. That's kind of what it reminded me of, and so that's what I use as a description for it.
Yeah, I think the sound was something like that as well. I will put it there for a sec. I hope it's not too loud. You can complain in comments on Twitch if if it is. So there we go. Yeah, the grayish color, like for sure, has the feel of like some aliens.
Yeah,
Either just the alien with
this like
big A.
unearthly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it has also this like natural sort of structure. It's alive. You know.
yeah. It's a weird contradiction. The texture is it's very like natural, kind of right, like in
Mhm.
some ways, but the color is very artificial. So
Okay, that's really interesting. So yeah, because this is just a short form, we will leave it here. I will just show a little bit more of the collection, just quickly. And is there anything else that you would like to leave the viewers with?
um I don't know if you have the piece up Double Dutch.
Let me check. You probably send it to me, and yeah, I have it here. Let me put it up. So it's here. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, it's coming up.
So this is a great way to end here. The photo of the woman who was used to actually sorry excuse me, the photo of the woman who was used for this is actually of her jump roping, and it doesn't look exactly like, I'm not saying I'm just shop whatever some people, when I tell them this, I think I'm comparing myself to him, but it's definitely, it was influenced by New Descending a Staircase number 2, where he used overlapping figures to convey motion.
Hmm.
If you look closely, you can see the feet
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
bottom. You can
yeah,
see
yeah,
you can
yeah.
see the smearing, not the smearing, but the shearing of the body parts.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite pieces. I It
Yeah,
took me a while to get it, different filters or whatever, but then when I sort of came up with something that was close to this, I directed my efforts to executing it properly. I think it came out well.
yeah. It looks really interesting. It looks really interesting. I will just quickly put there two more pieces, just without a comment, just to put them there. You send them to me, but we did go into a little bit different direction. So people can see also other things that you have here. Oh, this is beautiful animated. It's really nice.
Oh yeah, and actually I did one more recently, which is actually a better execution of that. So I started to get into DAZ and to do some 3D, to do some artistic renderings, and this is my very first one, actually.
Nice. I'm putting also this one. Yeah, I like the
Yeah,
like the arrow like thing that's coming up from two
yeah.
different directions and two different sides, like one side to another
hmm
side. So it's maybe
And it
some
looks
sort
like
of
he's,
conflict.
and it looks like he's handing the cigarette off to himself. It's just a simple crossfade back and forth, but
Yeah, yeah.
he looks like he's breathing out, then handing it, breathing out, then handing it.
Like this one. Oh, I had a different feeling. Yeah, but yeah, it's about the relative part. Okay,
hmm
yeah, so it was like really interesting. I think that people are able to see that there are quite a lot of uh, different, not just like variations, but different approaches. Uh,
hmm
and well, maybe even like different styles, because the first one was really more like epic, really abstract, inspired, and using the cloud. This is a little bit more specific, but using the abstract in the background.
Background,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, versatility is very important to me. Want to be able to convey what I'm trying to convey and not to be limited by style. So I don't really have a style. Like, so I didn't send you everything I have, but like a lot of what I did early on were like portraits of faces. Um, some of it was bizarre, some of it was good. Then I started adding motion to my to the bodies and
hmm
the faces, smearing them, shearing them, things like that. I went through that phase. And then I started to do abstract work.
hmm
And that's what I've been doing for the last like 6 months, mostly. Just abstract, different types of abstract work. Um, as you saw in the first collection.
yeah.
But yeah, like I that's one of the things that I aim to be versatile.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah, I'm really sorry that we have to close it, but
Oh yeah.
maybe we will like hear each other on for maybe some exhibition or for or some other events that I'm doing. I'm doing it quite a lot, and this is for sure very interesting art. And I hope that
Thank you.
people that are looking at it on Twitch and later in the recording on YouTube will like it as well, because I think it's pretty cool, and I really like the audiovisual of combination especially in the first part, because well, it's like, yeah, I like these big movies about big ideas,
Mhm.
and this is definitely evoking the same type of feeling. So well, job well done. Nice, nice.
Well, thank you. It was very nice to speak with you.
Thank you very much. So, thank you everyone for joining us. If you, yeah, I see that a lot of people joined just now. So, you are joining at the end of the interview, but you can watch it in the recording, because there was some cool stuff in the beginning. And actually, because we have a little bit of time, I will take you for a small visit to the world. It will be for, well, just with my commentary, not with the artist. So it will not be so interesting. But yeah, for the world actually with this graphic that is going on here is pretty good. But who will not uh, want to go for short guided walk. Just thank you very
Okay.
much for listening, and yeah, we are doing much more of these. So check out them as well, and check another one that we are doing tomorrow actually. And we are doing in 30 minutes. We are doing drop on the same channel for quite uh, famous artist visual potions. So here we already were in the park. The red thing is a prison, so don't get banned. You end up there. This planetarium. Oh, this looks so good to this new light. Yeah, you can hear the birds here. This is the city center. You can play VR bowling in there. You can do this Annihilator VR. It's a paintball game. It's also pretty cool.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
how much is it to purchase a parcel
Well, it depends.
on this?
Right. It depends on the size.
Okay.
The smaller ones are for I think 2 ETH, and the biggest one are from like 10. But also it depends on the location of the property. So if you have some like really close or waterfront, so you can build on like a deck very close to the water or even on the water, which you can see over there. There's some like disco over there, so and it's very close, so it could be much higher than those like 10 ETH.
Because me, I had Quince Matrix account,
Mhm.
and it's like, I thought I was ahead of the game by having like this 3D gallery space that I could use to show my work.
Yeah.
Then this comes along. I'm like, this is where it's at. This is definitely the future. Being able to, like, the whole city, being able to display MP4s, the internet, all that stuff. I think it's amazing.
Oh yeah, I think as well. I did.
And I think
Yeah. Go ahead.
now here's my question for you. Real estate prices continue to go up in general over time because real estate is scarce.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see is there that same mechanism here, or do you see prices going staying stable, or do you think that they're going to go up just like prices in regular real estate?
Yeah, so I learned about NFTs like 2 months ago. I started looking into art, but didn't know so much.
Only 2 months ago?
Yeah. So if you started if you are older than 2 months in NFT, I think you are already OG, and if you are older than 1 month, then you are like senior. Yeah, because this is like so new and so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started looking into different sort of NFTs, and then end up in researching metaverses. I spent quite a lot of time in different ones, did a lot of research, and at the end I end up buying property like 6 weeks ago in Somnium Space and in Sandbox. Because I think these ones are, well, who knows, but I think these ones are to win the race, and they are quite they approach different use cases. So I think it's not that it would be one or the other, but yeah, I could be wrong. But yeah, you can't. This is the first metaverse where you can drive a car. This is the first metaverse where you can experience rain and stuff. And it's not just and it's like persistent. So people that are here with you, they have same experiences as you have. You can't have it in any other world. And for your question, basically the cost of the land both here and in Sandbox like doubled, or maybe even more, what I bought in these 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I read something recently about it was on Twitter, and I didn't read the article, but it said that people are buying horses now in these metaverses and paying like real cash for them.
Yeah, I saw it as well. It's not here. I don't know if it's like in metaverses. I heard about some game with the horses where you can raise them, breed them, and so on. This is this metaverse is really more like thing that it's designed for you to live here in the future. It's like this Ready Player One experience. Yeah, you can live in a small trailer or something like that, but then have all your life here. Because you saw the car, I didn't drive it further because it was quite loud. And yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know how to put it not so loud, so I didn't want to kill eardrums of all the visitors in the Twitch. But yeah, you can see already like a couple of cool stuff. You have disco. There are like on every Wednesday
Yeah.
at 10 p.m. Central European time. There's disco here in VR where you get to party and meet with your friends, and the disco is alive actually. Is live. So the guy that is really singing is not from recording and so on. So yeah, this is just awesome. Yeah, this is one of my
Yeah, it seems
galleries
like really
actually.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and what have you heard? I don't know if you've heard some developments. Apple is really like over is about to overtake the HoloLens with a set of mixed reality glasses that look
Hmm.
like Ray-Bans. They look like I wonder how that's going to affect this space where you know you could put on glasses or VR and you just walk through the space. Um,
Yeah, well,
it, it,
there are
it can
actually
really
AR features, like enhanced reality features that are coming here as well.
okay.
And yeah, so I don't know, like these clouds, they are actually generated and they are moving. You can see that. It's like just mind-boggling. They are like randomly generated, and everyone is seeing the same thing. So
This is mind-boggling.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know like how old you are. I'm 33, and I can remember as a kid. Um, I don't know if you had AOL where you are, but we used to have these dial-up modems which
yeah,
just go,
yeah, yeah. It
and
costs fortune.
you could get free minutes from AOL, like 500 free minutes, which is such an absurd concept now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
you know,
I am 36 and we couldn't get any free minutes. So you had to pay like big bucks for each minute that you surf. And it was like super expensive, super expensive. So
and the pictures would time to load. They'd start from the top and they
yeah.
would work their way down to the bottom, like a simple photo. GeoCities was big back then. This is like so far ahead. It's really interesting. I think we are some of the first people to live in the future relative to where were when we were kids. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Like what we
absolutely.
thought of the future. Yeah,
This is what we dreamed of as kids that we
yeah.
want to
Thought
do,
like
and
when
it's
we're
here.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought maybe when we're 100 we'll get cameras, phones with cameras, and we can talk to one another.
Yeah,
But it happens so quickly, technology and that exponential increase. What's
absolutely.
kind of scary is not scary, but kind of cool is where will this platform, this metaverse, be in 5 years? It's probably going to be. I mean, if it's good now, it's probably something that's very hard to comprehend. Like
Yeah,
you'll probably
absolutely.
be able to
Like
like put on like some sort of device that like will just smell the trees and
yeah, like
all that.
we are, when I was talking about this Ready Player One experience, we are technologically on the level of that. Only thing that's missing, there are two things that are missing. One is that the tech is not available for everyone because you still need like decent gaming rig to be able to do this in 2D or VR. You need the headset to be able to join this world in
Mm-hmm.
VR. Yeah, you can see some guys are racing there. So that's one thing. And second thing is content because as you can see, there's not so many people here. Usually, people are where the action is. So if some sort of event, exhibition, or racing or something is there, then you get quite a lot of audience. But at the board, it's just starting. But when the content comes and the price point for the tech becomes lower, then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just you are in the Ready Player One because the tech is there. You have the treadmills, you have the
Yeah.
it's almost photorealistic. Yeah, it's not all the way there, but you get the immersion. We have the haptics already but it's not maybe like so yeah, it's not accessible, and maybe the features are not great, but yeah, the tech is here already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm sorry, I will have to end because I'm preparing for another another Visual Potions drop. As actually, her gang is already here, so that's awesome, guys.
Okay.
I will close the stream for a bit. But then you come back, and for sure, if you want to test those scars as I were in it, and just walk into this world, I put the link for Somnium Space. You need to download the client. You need to have like decent PC. But if you have it, definitely give it a try. It will take some time to download, so probably
Okay.
do it after the drop. But yeah, for sure, this is amazing experience.
For sure.
So thank you, everyone. Have a nice day, and let's see each other hopefully in 20 minutes or later in this world. See you.
See you.
Bye.